Hey there. If you want to shift your business profit quickly, if you want to earn continuity income, that means that you get a client, they pay you again and again and again, and you want a really good strategy for dominating your particular niche, you're going to want to watch today's show. I'm also going to be sharing with you why you cannot get the outcome you want unless you clean up your unconscious belief systems so that they exist in alignment with your conscious goals. See you on the inside. And welcome, Dan, to the show. I'm really looking forward to working with you today. Dan, tell us a little bit about your business before we get into it. What you do, how long you've been doing.
Hi, Perry. My business, I'm a plumber by trade, so I've been plumbing for about 20-something years. Then I took about 4.5 years off and went into, I suppose I call it an office job, which is teaching trade and so forth. And I did that in another country as well as Australia, all around Australia. That was very profitable, very fun, but missed the actual life of normal life because I was never at home. But so I've been doing my plumbing company now for 3.5 or so years. I was a bit rough to start off with. I had a bit of money saved up, so I didn't really push to advertise or anything. It was just trying word of mouth for a good 1.5 years, 2 years. And the past 2 years now, I've been trying to get it up and running and push it. This year, as sad as it sounds, I'm excited because I've made about $6,000 or $7,000 profit in the company after obviously I pay myself a wage each year, but still buying more tools, etc. I haven't bought anything extravagant like a new car or anything like that. Just I have I don't know what it is, but what I seem to do is I can get onto I'm good with people, I suppose. I can talk to clients, customers, get them in. Sometimes I have trouble just getting it over the line. Trying to do not a sales pitch, but selling myself as such. I tend to relax. I'll reach probably about 30% of what I should for each customer, and then I just kind of go, okay, well that's good. Or if I get a bit of income and I just seem to be too relaxed on what I earn, I think that's fine. And then of course if I go to push to advertise, I get too scared. At the moment I'm spending $1,200 a year on advertising in one little local paper, which does quite well. But it's I've started to automate the business now as well. I've finally got an iPad in the car, and I got accounting software and stuff, and about to link up to a trade designated software for setting up job numbers that talks to the suppliers and all that sort of stuff automatically, so I can invoice in the car, etc. I get more free time in my life. Quite foolishly, I just work, and I tend to, 95% of the time, I always tend to give the customers a good discount, as in probably 30%, maybe 40% off of what I shouldn't. And I look for a purpose or reason in the customer of why they might deserve a discount, or I'll knock a few hours off each job each day, and just silly things like that, where other people are charging more and just charging full price. And their clients are very happy and keep bringing them back.
Yeah.
The past, just one more thing. The past sort of 6-8 months, I've been sponging ideas, I suppose, and or bouncing ideas off one of the guys who I do work for. It's a good little setup where he pays top dollar, and me top dollar. He quotes everything. I just provide the qualified trade and basic tools, and he provides material and everything. So very simple for me to make quick, easy money. And he's had business for a few years, but he's been pushing me into double the material, what it cost me to buy, onto the customer, and start charging more, and don't be so lenient, and that sort of stuff. So I've done that a few times, and it's worked out quite well. The customers have just paid, and they don't bat an eyelid. No one's questioned it. The more I charge and the more I bill them, they just go, oh, okay, and they just pay it. And so the past 6 months, I've started to weed out, I suppose, and get rid of the cheaper customers that are always wanting the discount and whinging about every sort of invoice, and even though the work was ridiculously cheap and cheaper than what they get off anyone else. So, but I have started to also notice certain customers who will ring up, and I'm starting to sniff out that they're literally just there to just keep haggling me down. So I just kindly ignore them. Kindly decline them, and just leave it at that. So There's I don't know why, but I've also got engaged. So the girlfriend
Congratulations,
is
Dan.
thanks, mate. I'm pretty happy, but she's coming over shortly, and she's actually from Indonesia,
Yep.
from Jakarta. So she needs. We've got her partner visa set up, so she can't legally work for 3 months, which is fine. But I'm freaking out a fair bit about obviously having 2 people to support, and just kind of So just I tend to nap a lot more lately. I just get migraines. I have for the past 2.5, 3 months.
Yep.
And I just seem to sleep a bit more, just because
Okay.
it just gets too much, and then I can wake up and go, okay, start again and see what happens. So yeah.
All right, Dan. Well, we're going to. My plan today is to give you as many strategic breakthroughs as possible. I really want you to be able to leave the show today going, wow, that was amazing. I've got lots of things that I can take away from what Perry's given me. I want to be working with you strategically, and I want to be working with you around some of the patterns that might undermine your ability to implement strategies effectively. Before we get into that, there's a couple of things I want to cover off on, but just the first one, based on something you've said, and this is just as much for the listeners as it is for you, Dan. When we set our prices, if we price lowly, thinking that that's what's going to help us get clients, so this means when we start to discount, or we're lowering our prices because somehow we think the client's going to choose us, we end up making an unconscious agreement with that client. We're actually telling them what we're worth. And when you sell on price alone, on low prices alone, if the client purchases because you are charging less than others, that unconscious agreement will always come back to bite you on the bum, because the moment you go to put your prices up, they'll be upset with you. Secondly, because they bought on price, not on quality, any mistake you make or anything that goes over budget, or you're just going to cop it from them. Where if someone buys on value, meaning they perceive that you're going to do a really good job, a better job, they don't operate the same, because the unconscious agreement's different. They haven't purchased on price, they've purchased on value. So when you put the prices up, they don't care, not to the same extent, because they're not price buying, they're value buying. And the other thing I want to say to that is, if people are price shoppers, they'll refer you to other people that are price shoppers, where people that are value shoppers will refer you to other people that are value shoppers. So someone that's a price shopper, they'll say to their friends, oh yeah, no, they're really cheap, and that's what the friends start buying from you. And you don't want to build networks of price buyers. It's just a losing game. You want to build networks of prospects and clients that purchase on value, which gives you far more scope. But just quickly, before we get into some of the strategies that can shift and upgrade your business, because I can sort of hear where you're at. Your business, you've been building your business, you're starting to make some profit, and now you're wanting to upgrade it and probably certainly get more profit and have a better lifestyle from your business. But just quickly, what are your interests? What are your passions outside of business?
Passion. I was going to say finishing building my house. Motorbike riding. So that's I constantly think about getting healthy again, doing yoga and stuff. I should be about 92 kilos. I'm about 103, 104 kilos.
Yep.
So fairly overweight and lethargic. So think about being healthy and fit again would be nice. So just actually even basic stuff, swimming, yoga, be able to go for runs some evenings. I enjoy jogging at night with no one around. And fiance, that's pretty much the only interest I have.
Okay, great. And
everything else on.
Yeah, and I kind of picked up before the added stress of the fiance coming over, and that there's going to be more demands financially and what have you. Now, the reason I'm doing this and why I sort of asked, what are your passions? I already know with some of the patterns that we're going to be working with later on, it's really important that you're business goals are tied to your fulfilling dreams, because you'll see why. Like all of us, and this is for anyone that's listening or watching this, you know, as business people, we do get challenged, and in challenge, one of the ways of getting through challenge and staying highly motivated is you want your dream so much. You want something so much that you're willing to deal with the challenges. So oftentimes when people aren't connected to their dreams, and that can be a sabotage, they don't have the internal motivation to go through the challenge required to build the business that can give them their dreams. That's why we often want to connect people to what are your goals, what are your dreams. Okay, so I'm just going to work with some strategy stuff first, Dan. And the first question, where do your clients come from? How do they find out about you?
For the first year and a half, 2 years, it was just word of mouth. I was very, very relaxed on advertising and self-promotion. I didn't even have advertising on the vehicle. So it was pretty much mainly word of mouth. I'd get the occasional ones from on our web page and a local rag in a semi-affluent suburb where I'd kind of flow on from there. So
sure.
Yeah.
Now, when you said the semi-affluent suburb, did they provide you with better quality clients, meaning they'd pay you more?
Probably 30-40% were better paying clients, but there's still some there which they will try and bargain and barter down every offer you have. And,
sure, but in general, in that area, okay. So
in general, yeah, they're not too bad yet. Yep.
And why? Because that's fairly decent in your first year, and you're getting referral clients. Why do they refer you? What is it about you that gets them to refer you?
I think nice guy, honest, and I come across as honest as well. I've picked up on that, but they and trying to do a thorough job, make sure everything's happy, and the small things like cleaning up, a follow-up phone call to check that they're still happy with the job a week later or a few days afterwards.
Thought so. So Dan, this is just going to mention, I don't want to go into this fully at this point in time, but you know, your personality, people love you and they feel your desire to do the job properly. You're displaying what we call really functional aspects of the people pleaser profile. So the real functional aspects of the people pleaser profile in business is you really genuinely want people to be happy with you, that you want them to be happy with your service. You really are genuine in wanting to do a good job for them and please them. And that's what they pick up on. So that's a functional side of someone that's got a strong people pleaser profile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay. So one of the great things about referral clients, obviously, is it costs you nothing to get them. Nothing at all. So have you formalized referrals at all?
Sorry, how do you mean by formalized?
Okay, so you, based on what you've said, you're probably not controlling your referrals, meaning people just love you.
Correct.
They do his job and... Right?
I've literally zero control over it. It's just random calls. People call up and I can get 4 or 5 calls in one day and that's me booked up for a few weeks, or I can go a week and a half without a single call from referrals. So.
Right. So controlling referrals is really important, and that typically takes some time to work out. It's not a big thing to work out. But as an example, when you leave a client, you would have a script, or when you finish with your client, you'd have a script. And that script might be something like, I know I hope you're happy with my work, are you? And they go, yes, yes, yes. You might say something like, okay, well, you know, if you wouldn't mind, I try to keep my prices down by not spending a lot of money on advertising, and then I don't have to spend so much time on marketing, so I can really serve my clients more. So if you wouldn't mind, if you can spread the word about me, that would be fantastic. It's actually just setting it up as a hook in the client's mind. That would be a really basic way of starting to control. And then you'd give them, and you might give them 5 or 6 cards. Now, the reason this is important is if you do that, you sow the seed in the client's mind about referring you. And there's a law of reciprocity. So because they like you and you ask for that, you are more likely to get that client referring. You probably start to see an upgrade in the number of referral clients that you get. And the other thing that I would also be looking at doing is targeting those suburbs where people can pay more, because you want to get referrals from those suburbs. So even targeting those areas, and that may mean that you do some target marketing into certain geographic locations, because then when you get your referral, controlling your referrals, you know that you're getting good quality referrals.
Yep.
Okay. The next question I have around that is, so what other ways of advertising have you used? So that was a referral. What other sources?
So literally referral, that little local paper, and I have a web page, but I didn't. It's the first web page I've ever done, so I had it up there for a year and a half, almost under 2 years anyway. And I was doing a job for a guy who was like promotion of companies and setting up web pages and stuff like that. And we were chatting away while I was doing the job, and he said, "I'll have a look at your web page." And he came back 5 minutes later and he said, "Mate, well, I couldn't find it." And I said, "Oh, it's there. It's been there for a year and a bit." And he said, "Oh, write it down." And I wrote it down, and then he come back, and about a minute later he said, "You know, there's only 3 people know your web page exists: the guy who made it, you, and now me." And I didn't know that you had to actually log it onto Google. I had no idea, so I assumed it was doing its job. And so that's literally all I have. Now I have a reverse written sticker across the top of my windscreen, so people read it in the rearview mirror when I'm driving.
Okay, great.
So that's the only advertisement.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, so I checked out your website when you applied for the show, and we may come back and address some of these key points, because I really want to give you some upgraded strategic input in a second. We're just sort of working at the bottom at the moment, but marketing is really important. So I've got to ask these questions and give you some tips and my perspective on how you can improve things. So your website is hidden. It doesn't really explain why you are a better choice than your competitors. Because what you should potentially look at doing is using Google AdWords as an example, getting rankings high in Google as a plumber in the geographic areas that you want to capitalize on.
Yep.
Now, to pull that off, right, what this means, so someone in one of your chosen suburbs, higher fee-paying suburbs, by the way, where I live in the Northern Beaches, again, affluent area, a guy was telling me, a tradesman was telling me this Christmas, that he gets double what he'd get working out west just by concentrating on working in this area. I mean, double, that's incredible. Double his hourly rate. Yeah, just amazing.
Wow. Okay.
This is a very affluent area, so you can probably push it a bit more than other areas. So, you know, someone in a particular area, they type in plumber, because plumbers are often needed urgently. And so, and I'm going to tell you how this can work in a big way for you. So when they see plumber, and if your website comes up in the top 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5 searches, they'll start to go through them. And it's really important that your web page outpositions all your competition. Now, we don't have time to fully go into this today, but if I was working with you, I'd be really getting this USP down. Now, USP stands for unique selling proposition. Another word you can use is competitive advantage. And a way of doing that is working out what your clients' fears are. And we'll just name 2, and I'll show you how this works. So people will be worried about shoddy workmanship. That would be a fear, wouldn't it?
Yes, 100%.
Right? Yeah. So as an example, and you can really use what they call what one of my marketing guys calls down and dirty website. You don't have to make it look pretty. They'd come to the front page and you'd address that. Money back guarantee on all work. Only plumber in this area that gives you a money back guarantee on all work. Now that's a big risk, but do you get me? That is an incredible selling point. It might be money back guarantee on all working hours, not on material.
Yeah.
Now, can you see that statement alleviates a fear that your target market will have?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Does this make sense?
It does. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, right. Another one might be, just give me another problem. I'll show you how you start to work this. What would be another fear of your target market?
Other fear would be obviously overpriced. A lot of people, the general census is that plumbers charge too much, and it's simple work. And yeah, pretty much that's the main thing people seem to be worried about that I can pick up on. They're getting overcharged.
Okay, well, without looking at your financial modelling and your margins, would you consider yourself positioning? I know earlier you said you were positioning at the lower end of the pricing. Are you at the middle end of the pricing or the higher end of the pricing at this point?
I'd be upper middle, I'd say.
Right.
So about top 75%, yeah.
Okay. So again, what you have to do is alleviate fears around price. So you may be able to get cheaper plumbers, but this is what they're going to be using substandard products, and you'll pay the price because the thing will break down quicker. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And it's really worth getting professional help to do this if you don't have a mind that works in that way, because you just go into the target market, find out what their problems are with plumbers, and you got to make sure you deliver on your promises, by the way. But then they've got to be stipulated on your website. So the moment they come to the website, bang, there they go. Oh, wow. Okay. Another one is an example. All calls are returned within 2 hours. Things like that. Right. And then and then on that page, you'd also have testimonials that would back up your claims. Now, right, this is client testimonials. Oh, he's wonderful to work with. His customer service is amazing. And geez, he's got a cute butt. Right. I'm joking, but you get where I'm going. And you want testimonials from clients that back up your competitive advantage claims.
Yep.
So as an example, a testimony go, Selby his quote was more expensive than say some of the cheaper quotes, but at the end of the day, we're so happy with what we got because we know it's going to last a long period of time. That's the kind of
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let me move on, because there are some other strategies of what I'd consider a power strategy in a moment. But where else do you get clients from?
Honestly, that's it. That's just 3 points. So it's that local suburb paper, word of mouth, and that's it. I tried a little bit on Facebook. I had an Instagram page where I was, putting photos up a day of sort of plumbing jobs and sites I was at, and views and that sort of stuff. So nothing at all.
Yeah, okay. I get that. Well, the Instagram and things like that doesn't work for plumbing. Okay, things have to be addressed in words. So again, even with that local paper, even the ad has to position you with your competitive advantage, so that when they go to the website, and there's another approach that you can use. It's a very American approach, but it's works gangbusters. You might have a report before you hire a plumber. Make sure you read these 5 tips, because it's going to cost you a lot if you choose the wrong plumber. Okay.
Yep.
And they've got to come to your website and download the sheet that explains. So all those things help position you into an area. And it's actually really good if you just are able to target 1 or 2 geographic areas and really push that USP, that competitive advantage, in all your marketing material.
Yep.
Because what happens is you'll build the reputation in the area, and then all your referral work will come off the back of your advertising. You actually end up advertising less. If you use that strategy and you used it to its hilt, you would probably have to spend some money on your advertising for the first year, and after that first year, you wouldn't have to do it anymore, because you'd get all the word of mouth business. So again, just to be really clear here, the strategy, because your competitors won't be doing this. They're not savvy. Plumbers, for the most part, aren't savvy business people.
Correct.
So these are principles that we would use in any business. I've actually seen the very strategy I'm telling you being used really effectively for plumbers, anyone in the building services. So again, strategy.
Yep.
If you're using Google AdWords,
Yep.
Making sure your ranking's really high. Your website must, on the first page that a person lands on when they're looking for a plumber, because you're going to make sure that you get up in the rankings in certain geographic areas. That first page will explain to them why you are the safest bet, right? Because you're going to answer or resolve their fears just by looking at that webpage. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, anywhere else that your clients come from?
I actually got one off Facebook. He's the one that I get a lot of work from. But he's another plumber, actually. I just quoted a job for him, and that job we didn't get the job obviously. But sorry, I should have explained this other plumber better. So he does not do hands-on work. He hasn't done manual labour for 7 years, and he has no intentions of starting.
He's a business person, right? He's a business person. And
he is. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's very, very smart. He's been in the game a lot. He's promotion, self-promotion, business promotion. He's got 9 or 10 web pages relating to plumbing. He is just all over it. So he just likes to sit in his office. He's told me before. He said, I like to do 3 or 4 hours a day work, and that's it. He's mid-40s, and he just gets people like me. It's the other plumber and I call ourselves suckers, because we do all the work, and he just sits around and just gets fat drinking coffee and
he's getting a percentage, right? I love his model. That's actually a really good model. And I'd almost guarantee that even his web pages may use some of the principles that I just shared with you if he's that switched on. Okay, well, this is where I want to go, because the strategy that I'm looking at is kind of along the lines of the one that you're talking about with your businessman. No, he's not a plumber. Ex-plumber turned businessman, selling plumber services. See, one of the challenges and issues for someone in the plumbing business is that repair jobs are one-offs typically. So as an example, I think about how often we would use a plumber a year. It's probably twice a year. Some years we wouldn't use a plumber at all. And then there's a problem when you bring the plumber in. So the challenge with that approach is, you're always forced to go and hunt more clients, aren't you?
Correct,
Yeah. One of the best things to do, for any business, one of the best things to develop is what we call continuity income. And continuity income works in this way. It means that if I get a client, that an ideal scenario, once I get that client, if that client keeps being my client for the next 15, 20 years, I'm developing continuity income from that. Because they're going to purchase multiple times. Now, if you look at a gym as an example, gyms have a pretty interesting strategy where they probably charge like $30 a week or $40 a week. And once a person signs up, they've got that $30 a week coming in. Okay, and oftentimes the people forget to use the gym, but that $30 a week still going to the gym thing, right? Now, the key principle behind this is sometimes marketing can be expensive. And so if we come back to what I said before, if I market and spend a decent amount of money to get a client, but that client's going to be my client for 10 years, then that marketing spend's really profitable. You get it? Because I've got the client.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah.
Because expense and time is, if I can't get continuity income because it's just like a job here and a job there, then I'm marketing again. I'm getting this person. I built this wonderful relationship with them. Then I don't see them again, so I've got to go and hunt more. To be honest, that's kind of hard emotionally as well as not the best financial scenario, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Dan?
Agree. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, as an example, if you were aligned with a major building company and they were giving you work, so you didn't have to advertise and market, what difference would that make for you?
That would work really well. The only problem with currently in plumbing, for some reason in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, there's a lot of plumbers who are, especially the Gold Coast, they're ridiculously undercutting everyone in pricing. So I was offered by a possible client to do all the plumbing for a new townhouse. He buys properties, invests, sells off, etc. So I quoted it, and I was about $800 to do this works. And he said, "Oh, you're a couple of thousand more than the normal plumbers we use." I said, "Okay, well, you have to use them." And he said, "Oh, you can't come down any." And I said, "Well, no, because that's just working for the fun of it. There's not much profit in that at all." So there's guys out there for builders who do that sort of stuff. That's why builders I tend to steer away. There's one or two which I occasionally do work for who are just small single operators, and they pay every time. There's no hesitation with them. I have a good relationship with them, and they always use me, etc. So
and why do they use you? Because this is important. I'm going to dig further into this. Why do they use you?
Because they know they can call me, and if I say I'm going to do the job done, it'll be done properly. And I tell them, all right, all the work I do always falls back to me. There's nothing falling back to anyone else. I'm responsible for all the work I do, and everything's done efficiently. And there's a guarantee, a warranty, and everyone's happy.
I want you to think about this as a strategy. So I really get you when you said before that there are builders out there and they're not going to pay, right, what you need. And, one of the problems with any industry where there's price cutting going on, anyone that enters the price cutting game, well, it's tricky. You're controlled by the lowest cost option, right? So you lower your price, then the other person lowers their price. There's no one wins in the end. No one wins in the end. So you're not playing that game, which is great.
Yep.
Now, so what we're looking at here with this strategy, we can call it a strategic alliance, a joint venture partnership. There's probably more of a strategic alliance, where a really good principle is to align with someone or a business that has more power than you. Now, power means they've got more influence and reach from a marketing perspective. They've got larger databases. People are coming to them going, "Hey, we need your services." But that their target market is also your target market. Now, so yes, there are some builders that are price cutting, but there'll be some higher end builders who are more interested in quality. Like, I talk about me for a second. I've really learned over the years that I'm better off paying more for good people, because when I pay peanuts, people let me down. If I pay good money because the person deserves it, my stress levels decrease greatly and everything's handled for me. Right? Make sense?
Yep.
So there are people there are people in the building game like me. I'm going to actually give you some homework in a moment, because it's not just builders, but there'll be builders that are like me, and you've already talked about them, where they're not interested in cost cutting, they're not interested in playing that game, and they're interested in having you come on and look after the plumbing and the property, because they know that you're going to do the job properly, and therefore they're willing to pay you more, right?
Yep.
Right, okay. You could get away from advertising altogether if you had, say, 2 or 3 really strong alliances with building companies of high quality that are willing to pay you. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So oftentimes and this is just as much for people listening or watching this. People get about spending all this money on advertising, putting all this effort and energy into advertising, where the easiest thing to do is to spend a couple of months building relationships with key strategic alliances who will just give you work, right?
Yep,
you get it?
yep.
So really think about that. Now, I don't know plumbing enough, but you could probably help me here. There's high-end architects, draftsmen who are going to recommend you, interior designers that recommend you. I don't know how close all the different types of people that are involved in putting a building together, how much they.
The architects, designers, and builders never like each other. They just pretend. But it's funny. Yeah, one of the builders I work for, he's quite good. He's a sole operator, and he just hires certain trades as he needs them, only certain guys, and he does high end work. There was about I think it was an 8 meter long wine cellar these people put in a 3-bedroom house. Does so unique stuff, but everything costs an exorbitant amount of money, and I just shake my head about the material they put into the house, because the people want specific stuff because it costs this much, and 10 times the price of what they should for the same quality. But anyway, yeah, he's one that I would like to try and branch into and get some more work out of. He's taking a little break at the moment because he got flipped over by one of his clients for a fair bit of money. But
sure.
Yeah, that would be good to get in. That's something I don't. It takes me probably a couple of days to work up some courage before, and then I've got to work out what I'm going to say that builder if I was going to ring him and ask him for more work, or to recommend me, and then come to it, I'll probably end up talking about fishing or something else.
Yeah, we're going to get to some of the patterns in a moment. I really want to work with the patterns, but so you can see that that's a good strategy that I've shared with you. Yeah, okay. Now, just coming back to that, everything else I talked before about developing your website so that it really defines your USP, your competitive advantages, and why should people choose you. You want to do that. You really want to do that, because even when you're approaching people with power, the strategic alliance opportunities, they need to see your professionalism and how your competitive advantage and the way you communicate, the way you represent yourself on your website as well, so that you have a message that is an integrity, if that makes sense. So you're saying, well, I want to work with you because of this, and they can see your website backs up that level of professionalism and makes the same claims that that you've worked out as your competitive advantage. You want to be quite seamless in integrating all of that. Yeah. Am I being clear? You get me?
You are, yeah. Yep.
Right. Okay. Let me just see if there's any other strategic. Oh, there was a couple of other ones. Is there any niche of plumbing that pays more than being a general plumber?
There is. There's sort of cafe work, as in new commercial work, I should say. So sort of $70,000 to $120,000, $150,000 jobs. That's a little niche. And the reason I say is the guy the plumber who doesn't actually do any work himself, he said he doesn't want to do hands-on work and hires other plumbers. He does a lot of that sort of stuff, and that's where he makes an abundance of money. So I'm doing a job for him at the moment, which is going to take. It's only a wash bay, but that's probably about 2 weeks worth of work. 2 plumbers, an excavator for about a week and a half, concreters for a week, and probably about $40,000 worth of material, and it's a $400,000 job. So, I mean, that's a nice 2.5, 3 week turnaround. That's pretty good. So,
right, great. Yeah. So again, and this is for you and for anyone listening or watching. The reason I asked that question is in most industries there's high paying niches or higher paying niches. And if that's the case, it's worth inspecting going into those niches, because if you go into a niche like that, and again, you've got to look and see what your competitors are up to. But if you can go into a niche like that, and then you'd use the same approach that I shared before, which is you've got to work out what cafes and restaurants are scared of in hiring plumbers, and make sure your marketing collateral shows that those fears can't happen with you. But you remember what I said earlier. then you start to build a profile within that niche and become the expert or the go-to person in that niche, and that guarantees you really good quality income typically, and ongoing income. Because when you know, like as an example, if you were positioned as the safest these aren't the right words and these aren't even marketing words, but look, the safest purchase as a plumber within the restaurant and cafe industry, because you help your clients avoid this, avoid that, and avoid all these other things that someone could experience if they get a plumber with less expertise. Based on that positioning, and as long as you're delivering, you'll start to be seen as the sort of head choice in that niche.
Yep.
And you sew up a niche, right? And then all the restaurant and cafe people talk to each other, and you just get referred. So that would be something that would be worth looking at. There's usually a harder time frame, meaning that there's more work to enter those niches, develop your messaging for those niches and things like that. But that's also a really decent approach.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do off the back of that, by the way, because when people are going to cafes and restaurants, a lot of them are getting the cafe and restaurant magazines. These are industry magazines. You could be advertising in those as an example.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, no, you can see, this is the thing, when you work in a niche, you can target the niche. You can put Google AdWords on industry websites as an example. So, you could align with, no, there's all sorts of ways. I'll stop because I want to get the patents. I realize time.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, but does that start to give you some sort of strategic thinking about how you can move and start to upgrade what you're doing with your business?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got one other question. This is a strategy, but it's something I've picked up about you and your patterning. The first one is, you know, you even said it before, but I can feel it in you. It's okay. Just let me settle for a second to find the best way to communicate this. It's almost like in your consciousness, you don't have a firmly formed goal about your business.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. And I can feel that you downgrade goals. So rather than going for the big goal, you'll downgrade the goal or even avoid thinking about the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also true, yeah.
Yeah. Now, it's because of unconscious blocks. We're just going to go to that because there's some patterning impacting this. So, as an example, this is why before I asked you what your passions were, what you like to do outside of work, because we want to tie our business goals to what's deeply meaningful to us. So as an example, in my work, I love my work. You probably know that. I love it, right? So there's an intrinsic satisfaction in doing the work. Obviously, there's components of this work that's about self-mastery, about our patterns. And so I love doing the work on myself. It's been my work personally. And so I'm in integrity with it. And my goals for my business are not only about my personal goals and what I love to do. So a basic one is I want to surf. Okay, I want to keep surfing. So any business that I'm developing must give me freedom. I have things I want for my family. I love my family so much that I want to be able to give them things when they need it. And I don't mean necessarily luxury items, but you get where I'm going. I want to be able to support them and take them on trips and celebrate my beautiful wife by giving her something nice. And I also have a bigger vision for the people that I want to reach with this work because it's so transforming. So all those things inform my goals for my business. Within you, I'm not feeling those things. And part of you falling asleep, by the way, and getting tired is there's a shutdown.
Yeah.
There's a shutdown happening on an unconscious level. Okay. Now, just bear with me. So as an example, a vision for a plumbing business could look like this. Well, Yep, I'm specializing in a niche. I have 5 major strategic alliance partners that keep giving my business work, and I have 4 plumbers that I employ to deliver that work, and I'm only working 25 hours a week now. But I'm mostly running the business. That would be the sort of grounded vision I might expect to get from someone that's setting up a plumbing business who's firmly attached to their dreams and goals. Does that make sense, Dan?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just deal with something first. Okay. We'll work quite quickly with this because of time. I'm going to go sideways from where I've just been, but I'm going to be coming back to it.
Yep.
So I said earlier that one of the reasons you get referrals is because you have what we call a people pleaser aspect to your personality. And the people pleaser aspect of your personality in its functionality, meaning it's an asset to you, is that you truly go to please other people. You truly go to please them. Your happiness comes when you've pleased another person. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yep. It does, yeah.
Right. And people pick up on that, and they sense the genuineness in that. However, so that's why it's an asset, and I don't want you to lose that. But every part of our personality, because our personality is made up of sub-personalities, different parts, has a functional and a dysfunctional attribute. So the dysfunctional attribute of your people pleaser means that you will sacrifice what you need, what you desire, to keep another person happy. So when you talked earlier about how you would discount or lower prices, which you've stopped, that was to be liked, and also you somehow felt that you were hurting them if you charged them too much, but I'm not picking up on that anymore. Yeah. Does that make sense to you, what I just said? Yep. You've gone past that, but I'm hurting them if I charge too much. And they'll like me more if I don't hurt them, right, through charging.
Yeah.
You get me? And so... Yep.
I was going to say, I do want the customers and clients to like me. It's a weird thing. I don't know why, but it seems like the right thing to do to,
Well, it isn't its function.
But
it isn't its functionality. Yeah, you'll see where I'm going to go with this. So I'm also, like, I'm here, like when I'm working with someone on the show, when I'm working with someone, I really genuinely want them to have an amazing experience and get breakthroughs, right? So why else would someone be in business if they're not there to serve others? Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that, but that challenging issue is when it gets dysfunctional, you will put your own needs last. Okay, your own needs last. So as an example, in your discounting, can you see that you have suffered to get other people to like you? You have lost out to get other people to like you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I asked another question, and just tell me what comes out of your mind. As soon as I ask this question, don't think about it too much. I believe I already know the answer, but who is it more important to create wealth for you or for your partner?
For my partner.
Yeah, great. That's right. So again, what we see, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I want you to see that even when it comes to wealth, it's not about you so much. It's about pleasing her and your partner. Now, again, that's lovely. That's a motivation for me. I said that before. But there's something being missed out here in this whole equation, and that's you.
Yeah.
Okay? So just to work quickly here, on some deep unconscious level, and this may not be the accurate words for it yet, but I guarantee there's a truth to this, and we'll dig into it and get clear about it. But there's some sense that, I'm wrong or I'm bad. It's not right to take for myself. It's selfish. Okay? Now, does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, that does. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel better about yourself when you receive or when you give?
When I give, yeah, always giving. I have had a problem my entire life receiving
Thank
like presents.
you.
Praise was something that made me feel very, very uncomfortable to the point where I became an older adult, I suppose, and I would just outright ignore people if they were trying to thank me for something, and I'd get lost for words. So now I just try and fob it off as though I'm tired and just go thanks, and that's it. And I can't make eye contact with them all. And
Okay.
it's strange, but yeah,
No, it's not
yeah,
strange, right? And just, Dan, just to just want to slow this down, especially even for the people listening, okay? So, or watching this. Listen, you can do as much strategic development work as you like, but what we're dealing here with Dan, you know, many people are walking around with this type of patterning, but no one knows that they have this kind of patterning. They don't know how it devastates them as an investor or a business owner. But if you can't receive praise, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, and you're all about giving and not receiving, it points to some unconscious belief systems that will always limit you in business. Because if you can't receive praise, it also means, and we'll get into why you can't receive praise without being too, we're not going to get into, you know, going too deep with this, but just keep it fairly surface. But at the same time, I want you to see what's happening. But if you can't receive praise, there's a reason they're unconscious. Now, if you can't receive praise, that's aligned with I don't deserve. Okay, I don't deserve. Now, if you're a business person who feels that I don't deserve, that will also play out in the amount of money you make. Okay? So we'll probably do this really quickly if we can. How are you feeling at the moment, Dan? Are you feeling a bit uncomfortable, or are you quite comfortable?
yeah, very, yeah.
Are you
I'm
triggered?
sitting in a room by myself.
Yeah, you triggered?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
getting a little bit sweaty, but yeah.
Yeah, good, because that's where we're touching it. Okay, so I'm going to work deeply and quickly, but without being too getting things too emotional at this point, right? Because
Yeah, don't make me cry. I got to go back to
no, that's right. Okay, so and you're amazing too, Dan, doing this.
Oh,
I mean, but nothing. I'm going to say this quickly. I'm not hitting the mark with what's going on for you, but I'm pointing at it. Low self-worth and low self-esteem and shame is carried around in most people's unconscious. And many people, it's carried on the conscious level. And if you've got low self-esteem and shame, basically you'll feel like you don't deserve, and you'll start to push away what's good from you. And there'll be business opportunities there, and you'll find a way to sabotage them because you feel like you don't deserve. So people find this a bit weird. But if you've got shame or low self-worth, on an archetypal level, that's associated, well, I'm not good enough, no one loves me, I'm not lovable, therefore I don't deserve. Now this gets set up from archetypal messages from when we were young, boys and girls. So I'll just show you this. Dan, maybe you've got a family where this didn't happen. For most people, this will happen. When you were growing up, and when you were good, based on your parents' value system, when you were good, meaning you were complicit to their value system, how would they treat you if you were good?
Not. I was going to say kinder there, but that's not kinder. As they were nicer. Not that they were mean if I wasn't, but
they were nicer.
And, yeah, and I suppose in some way, maybe it was just in my head, but it felt like I was more included.
Right.
In the family, if that makes sense. Like
yes,
it gave me a position.
Of course it does.
When that wasn't happening, I was just someone else that was just there eating and watching TV and running around. And
correct. So when you just watch, when you fulfill their view of you being a good boy, you got a sense of more being loved and included. Now, that's a very powerful message, isn't it? If I'm good, I get loved, right? Okay. Now, if you stuffed up, what would happen?
Get a bit of a belting, scolded, and at the least, and kind of sent away to or yelled at, and then told to go to your room or go outside and just stay somewhere for a while.
Great. Okay. Now I'm just going to dig in. Yep. And I'm going to dig into the archetypal message of this. Okay. So what we learn, and we learn this through religion, we learn this through parenting, we learn this through the schooling system. All authority figures reward us for being complicit to their value system and shame us
when we move outside of the value system. Okay? Now, what you learn is that when you are complicit to their value system, that you get the reward. The reward could be love. The reward could be if you grew up in a religious environment, well, you go to heaven if you're good. If you are, if you're a good person, but you get lollies today. If you're a bad person, you get sent to the room. So on an unconscious level, we work out if we've got a lot of self-love, what we deserve. If we don't have self-love and we have shame and low self-worth, we don't deserve. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to bring this and tie it up for you. But there is a sense of not asking for what you want or not even connected to what you really want because you feel like you can't have it and you don't deserve it on an unconscious level. Yep. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So what this means is, that your energy even shuts down. If I started, we don't have time now, but if I started to work with you about what you really want, your energy will shut down. Make sense?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sitting in the car now, but I'd meant to go back to work after this. I'll probably just pretend and sit here for another 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, this is fairly, we're bringing up some deep content from the unconscious. There are another couple of patterns that play out here too. Yeah, we'll just do something for a second. So could you picture yourself with wealth and some fun things that you would love to own and have? Can you picture that easily enough?
Yeah, I suppose.
Just try it. Just what I want you to do is observe your body and just try that. And not easy, I know. Observe your body. Observe your breath, observe your emotions. So just try and imagine yourself with wealth, with a very successful business, with some of the things that
I imagine myself wearing nicer clothes, cleaner clothes, and breathing slower and smiling a little bit. Okay,
just keep it up. Go. I want you to. What is it you'd really want?
What I really want is stability for a form of retirement, happiness with a wife and family.
Okay, so one of the things I'm observing in your response is they're very noble things and they're very good things, but there's no excitement or passion in that, in the sense of that's still that's a surviving life. It's not a thriving life, is it?
Correct, yeah.
Right, so can you picture thriving life and observe your body as you try and picture thriving life?
Not that easily, no.
No. Okay, so can you feel that you're shutting down?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm thinking
all right.
of all
now
the
just
things I'm doing now instead of,
Correct. Okay. So I'm just going to do a couple of quick things. I'm just going to talk and I'm going to help explain to the audience who watch this what's happening. Our bodies are biofeedback mechanisms. Now, obviously, I'm really trained to observe my body. Now, my body will tell me how I really feel about things, what belief systems are really being invoked, what belief systems are controlling me. You can do that by having really deep connection with your physical body, because your physical body is tapped into or tied to the unconscious. The physiology, it's a mind and body thing. They work together. So by being able to introvert awareness, we start to connect with what's really controlling us on the level of our beliefs. So Dan said, and you can see, I just know, if I start to work with him, his body's going, you can't have that, I can't have that. That's what his body's saying, his unconscious is saying. So it won't allow him to dream. If I was working with Dan, the first thing that I would have to do is help him transform the blocks that are disconnecting him from his deep vision for his life. Once I've done that, he'll start to get in connection with his true dreams, what he's really here for, what he really wants to do. Then his motivation will increase. And then from that point, we can start helping him put some of those strategies we talked about in place earlier. And this is why most conventional business coaches and investing coaches can't really get the outcomes that they'd like for their clients, because their clients have got all sorts of unconscious blocks and they don't have the expertise to work with that. And unless the unconscious blocks are dealt with, the person just keeps undermining and sabotaging the good quality strategic input you can give them. And that's probably why this work's very powerful. We work on all those levels. So Dan, I'm just going to go and quite quickly just name another couple of things. Also, there's a lot of self-doubt on the unconscious level. So the other reason that you don't want to claim the bigger vision that's in you, by the way. See, these visions are in us. We disconnect from them because it's too confronting for our ego structure. And so there's a self-doubt there. And the self-doubt doesn't want you to have a bigger vision, because then you'll start taking action. And this part's going to come up going, you can't do it, you can't do it, you're going to stuff it up. Make sense?
Yep.
Have you met that part?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite often, yeah.
Yeah. So until that part is dealt with, every time you go towards your vision, it comes up and says, don't own your vision. It wants you to stay comfortable by staying smaller. You understand? Smaller.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Dan, I hope that helped you today, and I really enjoyed working with you. Any questions before we go?
No. Bit exhausted, but no.
Yeah, well,
No,
what I'll ask you to do...
Cramped up at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah, just take... What's happened is I've triggered your unconscious a bit, so just take, 10, 15 minutes, have a little snooze, because you're going to get real tired, because that's how your body deals with unconscious content when it's arising. You don't want to see it, so the body starts to shut down and get you tired. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, but just do that, 10, 15 minutes and go back to work. Yeah, but look, just really well done. I really loved working with you, and you would have really helped a lot of people. I know you got help yourself, but you've helped educate people by being so courageous and coming on to the show. And if anyone else is interested, by the way, just apply for the show. I love doing this work and see what I can do for you. Thanks.
Perfect. Yep. Mate, thank you very much. Thanks.
I hope you got a lot from today's show. I certainly enjoyed my interview with Dan. If you are interested in pursuing this work further, I have some suggestions for you. You could join me on the show as a volunteer and go to the website www.perrymardon.com, and you'll see a link to the show tab, and you can apply right there on my website. You might want to join me in my free Facebook group for investors and business owners. Again, you will find that on the website. And finally, a really good place to start with this work so that you can start to understand how you operate as a business owner or investor. Go to www.businessdnaindicator.com and do our quick 5-minute assessment that will show you your strengths and gifts as a wealth creator, as well as helping you see what your weaknesses are and some of the weaknesses that you're not aware of. Great. See you next time.